Brandon, are you ready for some fun, my friend?
Yes, Mark, I am ready to go balls to the wall.
All
Tell
right, I
us what you
like.
got in store for us.
So I want to do something a little bit different than DFS or best ball, and I want to put our followers onto something called prediction-based markets. And what prediction-based markets are is you can actually trade shares of teams that you think might win the division. You can buy shares of teams that you don't think are going to win the division. And you can even go as deep as picking the top fantasy quarterbacks, which we'll get into at a later date. Today, for all intents and purposes, to kind of introduce you to this Polymarket platform, we are going to focus on value that we see in picking division winners for fun. Obviously, this is not investment advice, and possibly Super Bowl pick values, because unlike DraftKings, when you're picking a division winner, you have to ride it out until they give you a cash out option, which usually isn't really all that enticing for you to cash out on until you get to like the game before the Super Bowl. This one, we can swing trade it, and we can look at schedules to determine, hey, team X is going to have a better early schedule than team Y. So maybe we should pick team X first, and then we might not think that they're going to win the division, but maybe they get a 2-game lead early in the season. So let's ride those shares up, sell them, flip it into strength, and then buy the team that might be 2 games behind, just to give you an example, and ride them out to win the division. And, we can kind of trade this market game to game, which I think is a new, exciting way for you to kind of, get your gambling excitement in and be able to control a little bit more of the gambling action than you can on other platforms, because you can decide to sell if there's a tough schedule coming up for the team and you want to take some risk off the table. You can sell your shares on the market and rest assured that that money is going to stay into your account. So it's really up to you how you want to play this. Let's pull up Polymarket right now, and as you see here, we have the AFC North winner selections for you, and you see, as most people think, the Ravens and the Bengals are sitting as the 2 top dogs in this division, fighting for that AFC North title. And you have the Browns and the Steelers trailing behind at 14 and 11%. I think what's being shown now is these prediction-based markets are actually showing what is really going to happen out there more than, lines and odds that you see in DraftKings, because you're really getting sharp players in here who kind of have a beat on their favorite teams or whatever it may be. But if you notice, if I zoom in a little bit on my screen, you can see that the Ravens have a 40-cent share value to actually win their division. And if you want to go against them and you don't think that they're going to win the division, they have a 62-cent share value. Now, the way these shares work is it goes to $1. That's the max that you can get on a share. So if we decided that, hey, Ravens are going to win, we can buy them at 40 cents and we can ride that all season long to that dollar, and we can make 40 cents on the dollar if that's, or 60 cents on the dollar if that's the route that we wanted to go. Again, you don't have to. You can swing trade these things game to game, buy, sell shares, and make as much money as you can. Buy dips, buy low, sell high, up to you. So let's tackle this division first. We want to keep this video quick and dirty as an introduction, and we'll make this like a weekly series for our followers and pick some things that we think are cool and things that we have on our radar. So I'm going to let you take over and show the screen. Who do you got for us?
Yeah, definitely. So on the screen, we have the Baltimore Ravens. And I just want to throw in that it is cool that, with compared to like your regular yearly long bets, as you said, Mark, you could actually cash this out, trade it, do whatever you want. And I feel like it's a very innovative way to the people who watch this channel to get involved and capitalize on those gains during the season. As you can see here, we have the Ravens, right? And it's important to take a look at the start of the schedule, right? And then compare it to the other teams in the division. So the first, I believe it's the first game of the year, Thursday Night Football at Kansas City. That's going to be a really tough test for the Baltimore Ravens, even with King Henry in the fold. I mean, you're going against the Super Bowl champs. They're going to be underdogs on the road. And more often than not, let's say 6.5 times out of 10, they're going to start out 0-1, right? Then, they should be able to beat the Raiders at home, but then they got to go on the road to Dallas, and then they got to play Buffalo, and then at Cincinnati again. So this is a team that could realistically, Mark, start 1-4. We're talking about the Baltimore Ravens. They could start 1-4.
I think you have the
Yeah. I just realized. Yeah, they can, excuse me, but they could realistically start 1-4, right? They could drop the game against KC. They could drop the game against Dallas. They could drop against Buffalo, and then at Cincinnati, I would imagine Cincinnati would have to be at home favorites with a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, a revamped running back room, a revamped offensive line, a solid defense. So, and not to mention, we're talking about the entire season, this is a team that has to play Buffalo and at Houston. Whereas compared to a team like Cincinnati, right, they don't have to play Buffalo. They don't have to play Houston, right? Because depending on how you finish last year, you get certain teams on your schedule. It's a way for the NFL to balance out the league's schedule. So instead of playing a team like Houston, Cincinnati would have to play Tennessee at the end of the year. Instead of playing a team, let's say like the Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati would have to play the New England Patriots. So all this you should take into consideration when you're placing your bets in the market. So what we could see here is by the end of week 5, when the Bengals could be 4-1 and the Ravens have the possibility of being 2-3, 1-4, the market could really flip and you could take advantage of these yes options or no options or shares. So I think it's really interesting to look at. It's a really good way to capitalize on the market before the season starts. And one bonus I would like to say is don't be afraid to dabble on the Pittsburgh Steelers because they're a team with unknown. If, Mark, they were to get Brandon Ayuk today, how much do you think their shares would increase?
Obviously, tremendously. I think we're still early to this Polymarket, and I think it's not something that's going to be mass adopted. So we're still waiting for some liquidity to get in here. Just to be completely transparent. But I think as we roll around into the NFL season, you're going to start to see more money flow into these teams. As investments, fund, whatever you want to call it. Again, we're not telling you that to invest. We're just giving
we're not your financial advisors.
No. But if that does happen and money starts to flow into this pool, for example, definitely, if Ayuk were to get traded there, you're going to see that Steelers team bump up from that 11%. They're going to be, I would assume, somewhere
like around 20.
I would say, that's exactly what I was going to say.
It would even out. And one thing I want to throw in, if we go back to the schedule, let's say they did get Brandon Ayuk. This Pittsburgh Steelers team could start off 3-0. They're at Atlanta, which is, in my opinion, a dead even game. It could go either way. Then they're at Denver against a rookie quarterback, and then they're at home against the Chargers. And their wide receiver one is Joshua Palmer. Right. And it's a new coaching staff. We don't know how they're going to look, and so realistically, the Steelers could be undefeated through 3 weeks. And let's say if Russell Wilson was to, play okay or go down, and Justin Fields, let's say, plays week 2 and 3, and he's on fire with Brandon Ayuk, Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, and then they got the unstoppable running game. They could flip this whole market where they're the 30% favorite to win the division. So if we go back to the markets page, the way I would play it is buy your shares now on the Ravens. No, I would buy the yes on the Bengals, and then I would buy the yes on the Steelers. So I'd probably distribute, if I wanted to be aggressive, like 20% yes on the Steelers. I would be really aggressive with the no on the Ravens, and then I would be also aggressive with the Bengals. Yes, that's how I would play it if I were buying the shares as of today. But again, guys, like if you're watching this episode tomorrow or a week from now, this is going to depend a lot on the Ayuk trading news and the outcome of that.
Right. And what is cool about this is, let's just give an example. If you were to buy yes on the Bengals, right? You're buying at 38 cents right now. You don't necessarily have to buy at the 38 cents. You can put a limit order out there and say, I only want to buy the Bengals at 30 cents. And now obviously you got to hope that the market dips. Maybe they lose their first game, whatever it may be. And you can decide to buy however many shares you want. You can buy 1,000 shares, at the 30 cents, you're in for $300. And if the Bengals do win, you got a potential return of 233% or $1,000. If you were to just market buy it right now, you're going to be buying at this 38 cents. You can buy $100 worth, which is going to get you 236 shares at that 38 cents, and you get a potential return of $263, which is not bad either. But the exciting part of this is you can swing trade it. As we were looking at the schedule,
Exactly.
say that first third part of the season, the Bengals look like they could take a 2-game division lead against the Ravens. If you want to reassess it, at week 5 or week 6, and you're in profit, let's say the Bengals climb up to 50% for, just throwing out an example there, and the Ravens are down a little bit. You can decide to sell some of your shares, de-risk a little bit, and you can put some into the Ravens if you want to. It's really up to how you want to play the game. And then something, again, that's unique is you can limit sell. So if there is going to be a couple tough games out there, but you want to ride this a little bit longer, you can limit sell your yes bet. You click the sell button, you go to your limit price. Let's say you're up at that point. They're sitting in the 50% range to win. You can say, I want to limit sell at 40 cents. However many shares, X amount of shares that you want to sell, you would click sell. And if while you're out watching the game, you're not by your computer, it will automatically sell for you to sort of ensure that you're staying on top of your capital. You're not just letting it, disappear like you would if you were betting on DraftKings. You go through a couple
Exactly.
on the Bengals or whatnot, your money, is starting to go down the tube. Here you can really decide and decide how you want to play with your money. You don't have to be all in if you don't want to. You can cash out at any time. So I think it's a real unique, fun way for you to kind of play the NFL season this year by picking division winners.
Exactly. And it's one of those things, like we prefaced at the start of the video, is you don't have to be all in or all out. You could dip one foot in and then you could sell the next week, So I think it's a really interesting concept. I think it's a cool way to get involved in fantasy gaming and football. And I think this was very informative.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do week over week until we lead up into the season is we'll pick a couple divisions that we've got our eye on. Maybe what I'll do real quick before we get out of here, we want to keep this one quick and clean for you. I'll head back and I will show you what I have done in my portfolio that I've been using for fun. Some of the things that you can see here, I've got the Jets. But what I want to focus on exclusively is I was buying shares of Brandon Ayuk to stay on the Niners. I did so, and I got in. Let me go back to that portfolio. My average buy-in was 54 cents, and the market has swung on that mightily. And you see right now it's an 85% chance that he will remain with the Niners. So I've made about 30 cents, on the dollar there with my Brandon Ayuk trade. You can look at, let me see where you can find the charts for this.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing is, because we're still uncertain whether he'll stay or not, you could sell realistically half the bag tonight and keep and if you're really confident, you could sell half the bag tonight and then sell half the bag tomorrow if it's permanent, So,
And that's exactly what I did. When I first started using this platform 7 days ago, I bought 2 measly shares for 40 cents because I really wasn't sure how to use it. So I said, hey, let me try it. And that's exactly what I did. Then I got a little bit more conviction in it once I got the hang of using Polymarket. I bought 125 shares of Yes, He'll Remain with the Niners at 39 cents for $50. Then I bought some more, a little high there. I bought it at 65 cents. But
it's
then
still profitable.
8 hours ago, I de-risked a little bit. I sold 100 shares for about $90. So
Yep.
I'm riding this out because I really believe that Ayuk will sign a long-term extension with the Niners, and I'll be able to get to that full dollar on this prediction-based bet. But you can look at the graph, and it will show you where his price has swung. Yesterday I was texting Brandon privately, and I was mad at myself because you can see this 49ers market for Ayuk to stay there in San Francisco dip down to 22%. What makes this fun, like we talked about, is you can swing trade this. If I had the balls, balls to the wall, fantasy sports, like our YouTube channel is named. If I would have had the balls to dip back in and buy at 22 cents, right now we're sitting at 88 cents, man, I would have been making 60 cents on the dollar that I invested in a night.
And that's a
And
wide margin on the dollar too. Yes.
yeah, I'm
I think
kicking
another
myself.
perfect example too of utilizing news and the schedule is I don't know if you want to go back to your portfolio.
Okay, let me click that right here.
And you see your shares of will the New York Jets win the AFC East. So essentially, what Mark is doing here, if we look to the New York Jets schedule,
Okay, let me switch to that for you.
Right? What Mark is betting on is if the New York Jets come out Monday night and beat his San Francisco 49ers at San Francisco, the New York Jets could realistically either be 4-1 or like 5-0 by the time they get at home against Buffalo. And you can kind of envision, like if they realistically go 4-1, 5-0, they could be, their shares could, I don't know what their shares are now, 33 cents. Their shares
30.
could jump up to like 50 cents plus, which is
Exactly.
like 20 cents on the dollar that you're making. So, and that's nothing like to, cough at or anything. That's a huge, and it's realistic because I mean they got Tennessee, they got New England, Denver, Minnesota, who, JJ McCarthy was supposed to be the future, but now he might not even play this season. So then you got Sam Darnold and the Vikings. So this could be when you're doing like these buying these shares and investment, it's always important to look at the schedule, and you could capitalize your gains on the poly market and try to capitalize on some bold predictions you may have, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on if the Jets beat the 49ers Monday night and then let's say they go 4-1 or 5-0, where do you think their shares would be at if you go back to your shares of the Jets?
I think, to be honest, I think that if they beat the Niners, the runner-up to last year's Super Bowl, a team that most have, even if you look at regular odds like on DraftKings or FanDuel for the Niners, they're the second-ranked team to win the Super Bowl. If the Jets come out with Aaron Rodgers back, at the helm, returned from injury, they're going to be the talk of the town. Aaron Rodgers came back, knocked off the previous Super Bowl runner-up in San Francisco. This Jets team looks dynamite. You're going to get the New York bias. They're going to be all over the news. This type of market is deeper than just the result too. It's really what is trending out there in the news and in people's minds. So I think that first victory, you're going to see that their shares are going to spike up rather high, and I think they'll ride consistent through the way up until that Bills game in Week 6. Now, if they beat the Bills in Week 6 too, and they start 6-0, and they have a 1 or 2 game division lead against the Bills, they knock off their division foe, I think we see another bump up in their share price as well.
Right. And you know what? I kind of want to highlight that Week 6 because, this is a new time in the betting market, because before, like you said, Mark, like you alluded to, your yearly bet would just be stuck at a casino or on any other website or sports book. But now, let's say you wanted to diversify your risk with these shares, and you say, you know what, I'm going to sell 75% of my shares that the Jets will win the AFC East. That way, if they lose against the Bills and then the Bills go on a hot streak, then I'm not holding the entire bag. I only have 25%. However, let's say they do beat the Bills and they're 6-0. Well, now I still have 25% of the bag for it to exponentially increase. So I think it's a great way, as you alluded to earlier, to get involved with the NFL betting, and it's a different kind of game.
Yeah, no, exactly. And something that I'm really excited about, I'm really just addicted to looking at the website right now and watching my portfolio adjust. And again, we're early. If you go in and you look at the politics on here, that is the market that's on fire on this Polymarket website. I don't dibble and dabble in that. I don't know enough about it, so I'm really not going to play it. But when it comes to football, I feel like I've kind of got the pulse to a lot of things. And if you do your homework on sports and you study the schedules and you listen to key injury reports and whatnot, this is something that I think you can swing trade week to week, and you can invest as much as you want on a team, and you're essentially betting game to game instead of betting on the actual game, right? Because as I showed you, if you set a stop limit order, let's say you threw $1,000 on the Jets to be the Super Bowl champions or win their division, right? Every week that share price is going to go up or down, and you can set a limit order on it. And if they do happen to lose, you're not going to lose your whole bag like you would, just betting on a game. So there's a lot of unique ways that you can play it. Something that I think is going to be cool and unique for our channel on this YouTube to do with you week over week. We're going to look at players, because you can actually invest in shares for players that are going to be the top fantasy quarterback, top fantasy running back, and so on. You can pick Super Bowl winners, where at this point the Jets are sitting at 4 cents. So if you were to get in on the Jets at 4 cents and they did run to 6-0, talk of the town, toast of New York, that 4 cents is probably going to go up somewhere to 10, 15%. I don't know. But there's a lot of unique ways that you can play on this Polymarket prediction-based platform. And it's not going to be the only show in town. There's other ones that are coming out, but it's brand new, something you want to get your eye on, a unique way to play this NFL season, and something we are both excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And, I think in the upcoming episodes, we're going to have more exciting props to bet on. Player props, best tight end, best QB, best. And you guys will see how much, dead money there is out there in these markets.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope Ayuk does resign, and I can get that whole bag that I started investing in 7-8 days ago. It'll be a little relief for me, because now I can take those funds and move them to a different market and even make some more money. So, guys, Thank you for tuning in to this one. We're excited to show you all the information that we're going to talk about here in this prediction-based market this NFL season. Do us a favor, give us a subscribe. And if you haven't watched our other videos, we have dropped 2 best ball videos for you to kind of get involved in and watch how we dissect the drafts. We pivot, we stick to our game plans, and it's a lot of insight for you to kind of maybe follow suit, maybe get some new fresh ideas that you didn't have on how to draft, how to correlate in a best ball. Maybe you're brand new to it. Go check those out as well. And Brandon, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
No, it's been absolutely fun, and I'm excited to dip into this Polymarket. So gonna enjoy this journey with you, my friends. It's gonna be an exciting NFL season, and if you want nonstop football fantasy info this season, you found the right channel. because we go balls to the wall every single week.
All right, man. I had a lot of fun with you on this one. Looking forward to breaking this down as we go forward. Guys, for Brandon, I am Mark. Thanks for tuning in.